Hi, we are from Group 7, representing our topic which is confined space. For introduction, a confined space is an enclosed area with limited space and accessibility. Work in confined space may kill or injure people in any industry, from intricate manufacturing to basic storage. Victims include not just persons working in confined spaces, but also those attempting to rescue them without the proper training and equipment. According to Canadian Centre of Occupational Health and Safety, several people are wounded or murdered while working in confined space every year. An estimated of 60% of the fatalities have occurred among would-be rescuers. So a risk assessment is conducted to analyze all the relevant hazards fields along with a strategy for dealing with any difficulties that may arise. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Muhammad Aziz Solihin bin Azhar with metric number of BF190113, and today I'm going to present about the hierarchy table. Alright, in our project we are do about the confined space, so the hierarchy table must be follow the hierarchy guidelines. So the first one is electrical equipment installation in the attic. The hazard we divided into two: slip and fall from the attic, dust from building material during the drilling. So after the risk analysis, we compute that the risk was medium for both 9 and 6, and we also provide recommended control measure, which is the first one is engineering control measure, provide adequate lighting in the attic, and second one is admin control measure, frequent check up by officer at the location. For the second one, painting the utilities rooms such as mechanical room, electrical room, and janitor room. So as we know, all of these utilities rooms are small in space, so we consider them as a confined space. So the hazard that might come from this work activity is producing strong chemical odors during the painting. And the second one could produce a flammable atmosphere because the paint is flammable material. So from the risk analysis, we compute that the risk was medium for both, which is 6 and 5. We also provide a recommended control measure, which is provide adequate air ventilation for the atmosphere to circulate, and the second one is provide fire extinguisher in case the fire is spark up during the construction activity. Manhole construction. From this work activity, we could give two hazard, which is the first one is oxygen deficiency due to confined area, because we know generally that manhole is very small because it's located underground, and so there's a few ducts ventilation that could be provided during the construction. Okay, the second one is buried alive due to slope failure. Okay, from this hazard, we do a risk analysis, so we can compute that buried alive due to slope failure is a high risk activity. So we can give a two recommended control measure, which is the first one is engineering control measure, shield the trench wall with trench boxes, and the second one is admin control measure, which is close supervision during the construction of the manhole. Okay, we move on into the next one, which is installation of ventilation ducts. Okay, for this work activity, there's two hazards also. The first one is oxygen deficiency, and the second one is space constraint. From after the risk analysis, we can compute that oxygen deficiency is the high risk activity, high risk hazard, so which is 12. So the recommended control measure is engineering control measure, provide adequate air ventilation, and the second one is admin control measure, check for oxygen level using portable air monitoring tools during the installation of ventilation ducts activities. In our hierarchy table is maintenance of tanks. So the maintenance of tanks could give two hazards, which is the heat protection and chemical exposure. From these both, we compute after risk analysis, we compute that heat protection is a low risk activity, and the chemical exposure is the medium risk activity. So we provide two recommended control measure, which is the first one is engineering control measure, check for chemical gases using portable gas detector. So we bring this device into the confined space, the space that we do the works, and we check the chemical gases using this device. Okay, the second one is also engineering control measure, which is ventilate the space to remove contaminants. So we use a device such as fan to ventilate the atmosphere in the confined space to remove the contaminants of the chemical material. Alright, that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Impact critical safety hazard. The most critical hazard found during the assessment is getting buried alive due to soil collapse during the manhole construction. The risk score is 15, which indicates it is extremely dangerous. If proper safety precautions are not taken, it can result in fatalities. It can occur quickly and make it difficult for workers to escape. Thus, it can cause internal injuries and can kill the workers due to suffocation. For safety hazard, as preventive and corrective measure, the soil collapse can be prevented by the sloping the ground, benching the ground, shoring the trench with supports such as planking or hydraulic jet, shading the trench with a trench box. OSHA also required the employer to do the atmosphere testing to ensure the condition is safe. Plus, emergency equipment should also be provided and available during the construction. The daily inspections also should be conducted by competent person before the shift starts.
Impact of critical health hazard. Every day, construction workers face a variety of health risks. Employers are responsible for ensuring the safety and health of their employees. Chemical exposure during chemical maintenance is regarded as the most serious health hazard. Exposed to the chemical can give a serious effect to the body system. Some of the examples of the chemical that might involve in confined space are such as acetonitrile. Once the solvent is inhaled, ingested or absorbed through the skin, it converts to cyanide, which prevents the cells of the body from using oxygen. Next is chloroform. This volatile solvent can irritate the skin, eyes, and lungs. It also acts as an anesthetic that depresses the central nervous system. Next is sodium azide. It is an extremely toxic skin irritant that can cause headache, dangerously low blood pressure, and even heart failure. Lastly is methanol. Methanol can enter the body through the lungs, the gut, or the skin. Methanol, once inside, converts into formic acid, causing metabolic acidosis and blinding retinal toxicity. Control measure for health hazard. The primary method of protecting workers is to limit their exposure to chemical hazards and toxic substances. According to OSHA, engineering and work practice controls must be used as the primary way of preventing employee exposure to dangerous substances as much as practicable, and respiratory protection must be used when engineering or work practice controls are invisible or being installed. Elimination or substitution is preferred over engineering controls. For an example, the chemical can be substituted with safer alternative. Engineering controls are physical modifications to the workplace that minimize or mitigate employment hazard. The procedure can be changed to reduce interaction with harmful chemicals. Last but not least, the administrative or work practice control may be effective in some situations where engineering controls cannot be developed or alternative processes are required once the new engineering controls are implemented.
Of the study, there are several dangers linked with a single construction operations. Firstly, the critical health and critical safety hazard can be utilized to provide an overview of the precautions and procedure that must follow in order to appropriately and practically address the issues. This illustrates that the high-rate analysis is a feasible evaluation that should be performed in the present temporary industrial safety and health policy situations. That's all from me. Thank you.